family is closest to you. But on the other hand, you can look at it as Leslie, I think, said it from a global perspective. God looks at the country and then the nation and then the family. So I think you can include them both.
Okay, Leslie and then Merle.
So I had a couple comments. First of all, people are saying you're going to, I will make your name great. You will be a blessing. What does that imply? But God doesn't say what it implies. He doesn't say, I want you to be kind and moral and a leader and all that. He's leaving it wide open. And I find that kind of confusing. There's no roadmap. And then on a tangent is, if God is saying, okay, we got to leave it all behind and start over. And he's sort of done that a couple of times. You could think that he's made human beings very flawed. Like, what is he trying to achieve this time? It's a tangent. It's maybe a different subject, but do you see what I'm kind of getting at?
I do. And before I respond, I want to hear from Merle. Go ahead.
I think it's very much what everyone has said. I think it depends on the individual who is being told they're a blessing and what they think being a blessing is or should be. I mean,
okay, so it says here in which I tell everybody you should get, the Eitz Chaim. It's an unbelievable, with lots of commentaries, Chumash, which means the 5 books. To be a blessing, Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, who's a famous commentator, says, not as a promise, but as a command. To merit the promised reward, you must so live as to be a blessing to the world. Whatever you think blessing is, it's a good thing. It's not a curse. But the curse is, those who curse you, but I also find interesting, and I love to hear what you have to say. The promise is not, I'm going to make you rich. I'm not going to make you famous. I'm not going to make you powerful. I'm not going to make you a king. I'm going to make you a blessing to the world, and people will be blessed through you. So it's a very, I think, unusual gift or offer from a deity to a people. It's not your typical ancient Near East objective of somebody who wants the gods. When the gods bless you, you're great in war, you're great in wealth, you're great in women, you're great in, land and whatever. He doesn't really say any of that. And, this is a writer of the Bible. And these are ancient stories that were written down till like 1,000 years after they supposedly took place. And so the writer of the Torah is already infusing a moral and value-driven goal for us, for his descendants. It's not that we're going to be the most powerful. We're going to be a blessing. And I think today Jews still... I don't know what that is. Okay, so... I don't know who that is. All right, did you read, Lori? Okay, Mary. So Abram went
as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him.
Okay, go ahead. They'll tell you who this is.
75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there.
Okay, so all the possessions they had and all the people they had acquired, what do you think that means?
Includes slaves.
Slaves. Okay, anyone else have any ideas? Of the people?
Word in relatives too.
The word in Hebrew is, that's a good question. Lot benechi v'ed kol rechushim asher v'ed hanefesh. And all the souls they had acquired.
Okay, so it's okay to take their slaves and not their family?
Well, he took one person. He was told to leave his family, but according to many commentaries, they were not slaves.
Oh.
They were converts. They were souls that they had converted to believing in the one God. And further commentary says Abraham preached or taught or illuminated the men, and Avram and Sarai taught the women. So they were a partnership. And people they acquired were not slaves, but nephesh, from the word soul, human. And I'm going to just see what they say. The persons they had acquired. The Midrash understands this anachronistically to refer to converts whom they had led to belief in the one true God. For that reason, when converts to Judaism are given a Hebrew name, they are called son or daughter of Abraham and Sarah. Do you all know? Did you know that? That when you convert, you know how you have a name, like I'm Sarah Bat Aryeh Veruth. Sarah is my Hebrew name, daughter of Aryeh is my father, and Ruth is my mother. If you convert to Judaism, your name, daughter or son of Abraham and Sarah, because they are the first ones, and this is what they were known for. So that I think that's nice that it wasn't. So there were others who believed, and we know later Abraham circumcises all the men in his encampment and himself and his son. So, okay. And he's 75 years old. And for some reason, they don't tell you here, but Sarah is 65 years old. Sarai is 65 years old. Okay. So, all right. So we're not even getting to the big plot yet, but we will. Okay, Linda.
Oh, where am I?
You're at number 6, verse 6.
Avram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Morah at
Shechem.
Shechem. At that time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offsprings I will give this land." So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him.
So I'm really interested in what it means appeared. Let's see if it even says what it means. The Lord appeared, the first divine revelation in the promised land. So in some way, okay. So this again, as we talked about, is an ancient, a text written 1,000 years later. It's written when they already were in the land. They lived there when it was written. And so now they're saying, you know, this land was given to us by God, which is probably not an uncommon thing for people to say of any natives of anything, that we were given to them by God. And he built an altar. So we understand there is no prayer at this point. The way that you connect to God is like in the ancient world. You build an altar and you sacrifice something. Okay. All right. And I'm just going to read this because I want to get to the good part. From there, he went toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent in Bethel on the Beit El. Beit El means house of God. And the west eye, and there he built another altar and called on the name of the Lord. And then he continued toward the Negev. Okay. Now, here we go. He's there for, I don't know how long, not too long. And Joni, did you read?
Briefly.
Okay, you want to read now 10.
Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while because the famine was severe.
Okay. He's sent to this land. He's told he's going to be blessed. And then there's a famine and he leaves. So what kind of faith does he have in anything? He's built an altar. He's heard God. God has revealed to him. And this is a very, very interesting little scene that's going to happen. And then we're going to read the Midrash on it and how the rabbis reinterpret this whole thing. But why did he go? Some rabbis say that was a lack of faith. Some say that, you know, he had to preserve them because they were going to die. But it's the next sentence. So how much time has passed? We don't really know. Keep going.
As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife Sarai, "I know what a beautiful woman you are. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife,' and they will kill me, but will let you live. Say you are my sister, so that I will be treated well for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you."
Okay. What is he saying? Okay. Leslie, do you understand what he's saying?
Well, I'm a little confused on this. He's saying that if they're just married, they want to get rid of him, but if he's the brother.
And why? Because beautiful women, they'll sell her, they'll give her to Pharaoh or whatever. You're so beautiful. Let's just say I'm your brother and save me. I don't know what's gonna happen to you. Okay, Cindy.
But
and
I
then
guess what I
Susan.
wouldn't understand is why would they care if wife or wife or sister? Would it matter to them if she's this beautiful woman? They want to sell her anyway.
Well, they might kill the husband so that, she's free, I mean, you have to respect marriage or this way. But,
Oh, okay.
okay,
Yeah,
Cindy and then Susan.
Is it just midrash that they're really half siblings, or is this what we think happened?
Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, we're going to read some explanations in a minute when we finish this little passage. But there is one explanation that when nobility or royalty, even if they don't necessarily marry their half sister, one idea is they shared a father but not the same mothers, and they married,
Right.
like in Egypt, you married your brother and sister. Another idea is that if at a high level of aristocracy, the wife was like adopted by the family like a sister, like she was included in the family as if she were a member of the family of the husband on a high level. And so she's considered a sister, but she's not literally a blood sister. But it was kind of like, you're part of us now, so you're like a sister. So that was another explanation that I read, Cindy. Or it's just a ruse. We don't know. It could just be say it so that you should take care of me. Protect me by putting yourself in danger. I will be treated well and my life will be spared. Or it's like, and we don't hear Sarah's response. She doesn't say anything. She's like, it happens. Oh, huh?
You went to the wrong room and sat there foolishly.
Oh my God.
Sat there and waited and waited.
This is a cake for Nina. Is today your birthday? She's 85.
I feel so dumb.
All right, we'll sing, in a bit. Okay, here we go.
I know. Should we sit on that side to see the screen?
It's okay. It's up to you. It's all right. They can
I can move over.
see you anyway. You can't see them, but they can see you. Okay. Okay, so, and he says, I know what a beautiful woman you are. And the rabbis go like, what, you didn't know before? Suddenly you realize she's a beautiful woman. And there's another midrash that Sarah never aged, and she was one of the foremost beautiful women ever in the Bible, and she never aged.
I was gonna say, she's a beautiful woman, but she's 65.
Okay, but not in the biblical. She's gorgeous, she's beautiful, she's ageless, because we know she gives birth when she's 90.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so they say it again. So whose turn? Oh, Cindy, why don't you read? When Avram came to Egypt, 14.
When Avram came to Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was a very beautiful woman. And when Pharaoh's officials saw her, they praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into his palace.
Okay, for what? Taken into his palace.
Part of the harem.
For the harem, exactly.
He treated Avram well for her sake, and Avram acquired sheep and cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels.
So he took his sister, said, and I'm going to give you all of this stuff. It's interesting. I'm a big I don't know what it is, like an amateur historian about the Tudors. And when Anne Boleyn became queen to Henry, even when he was just in love with her, all her family got gifts. Her brother was elevated to a high level nobility, his father. So for some reason, when daughters or women are pawns in terms of being able to benefit the men in the family. So, I mean, what are we thinking about Avram at this point?
Well, he's stuck. He's either prostituting his wife or he's going to get killed.
Okay.
Okay, but you know what? Not
I
like
think that's the surface thing, and I was going to say that one of the comments in its Chaim is the value of human life. I mean, there are two values, and human dignity is the other one. And in this case, Sarah is sacrificed for the dignity, but she saves Avram's life. And then somewhere else in the Bible, there was some corroboration for the fact, this was Cindy's question, that she was a half sister. And but I can't remember where that was, and most of it is Midrash. But I think this is interesting, and I'm wondering why they put it in the Bible 2 times here with Abraham and then once with Isaac. They repeat the same story.
And
But-
also he does it with another king. Abraham does it twice.
Abimelech.
Yeah.
How is this considered a blessing is one question. And the second question could be, is this sort of foreshadowing that they both have to survive in order to have more offspring to start this new nation? But
Well, that's true. That's a good one. But it's interesting how so Abraham is basically deceiving Pharaoh.
Right.
And
He's
there
also,
is a
he's also saying, yeah, you can go have your fun with my wife or my sister, even my sister. He's
Right.
I don't think of that as a blessing.
No, this is not a blessing. This is not a blessing. But what I'm saying is there's a literary motif that Robert Alter talks about, because I read his commentary. In the first stories of the Bible, there is this constant theme of deceit or pretending to be what you're not. And we see it with Jacob and Esau, where he pretends, to be his older brother in order to get the blessing. Rebecca deceiving her husband so that Jacob can get the blessing. Then Jacob goes to Haran because he runs away, and his father-in-law deceives him by giving the older sister Leah to him when he thought he was marrying Rachel. And there's this deceit there. And then there's Joseph, who, when they see him, when the brothers come back and he's like second in command in Egypt, he deceives them and he tricks them. So there's this literary theme about deceit or switching. And I'm wondering if you think what would be the purpose of that, or why that would be in the Torah.
Since we've skipped
The deceits lead to some bad things immediately. I mean, I guess they do by example.
Wait, Susan, 1 second, because Linda was talking and then I'll
I'm
come to you.
sorry.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. This is my first time in Torah study, so I'm not sure what comes before what. Is this a prelude to the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt not covet someone else's.
Could be,
wife?
could
I
be,
mean,
could be.
the 10 Commandments, how to live a good life.
That's right. That's right. It does. It does. But in these stories, there's this, I'm not even sure I have a total answer. I mean, as we're formulating this idea of this switcheroo idea that keeps happening. Yes.
I think because people do that and they want to show that this is what happens, to a lot of stories and people, and it's not just this story, but it's what people do.
And there aren't good outcomes. The outcome is not good. Yes, Pina?
We kind of overlooking the fact that people did marry more than one wife at the time, and it was okay. And him giving it to Pharaoh, he didn't give him just a woman. He gave him a princess, Sarah.
Right, yeah. But he gave her, or they took her?
They took her.
He told her to do it, and she agreed. He told her to do it, and she agreed.
Okay.
And the fact is that she herself was royalty.
Okay.
When he married her, she was royalty.
Right.
Egypt and Israel at the time were very close. Whenever there was hunger, the Israelites would very freely down to Egypt.
Okay.
And felt that they get the support of the Egyptian.
Right.
Okay. So the fact that he asked her, she actually went back to her, how would I say, familiar
Yeah, her
territory, familiar places.
is in terms of being in a royal palace. But then why did God curse Pharaoh and give him all these diseases and everything?
Yeah. Whoever said that it was a road to start having some kind of standards, it was all like you are preparing a stew. you know, you have to have the ingredients to come to a point of, like, for example, how long you're going to be cooking this piece of meat. So it's things that are developing from experiencing certain things. And then you decide whether this is okay or not to do it. People were marrying two wives for many years.
More wives.
They came in the 50s, they came with two wives, and the wives didn't want to leave the husband because they didn't have jobs. They couldn't walk.
Yeah.
They were crying, and they were allowed to keep the wives till the second generation came, and then this generation was told not to do.
Okay, Panina, I love what you're saying, but I have to ask you, if it's okay to have two
At
wives,
that time it was.
why did Abraham say,
That's my.
you're my sister? Why didn't he say, this is my wife?
Well, maybe the standard in Egypt were different.
Well, he had multiple wives.
You're not going to take another man's
It's a wife. Right, okay.
That makes sense.
So it's all, yeah, it's all interwoven. And this idea.
Did
and also-
Pharaoh think that she was a virgin because she was his sister? I mean, she was 65, but
Did she think she was a virgin?
did Pharaoh think that?
Oh,
You know, that if she was a wife, she's not a
could
virgin.
men even tell? Could men even tell half the time? I don't know.
Oh, of course not.
You know what I
But
mean?
you would pretend. But
Right. Okay, let's continue because I want to go to the Midrash. And all right, but the Lord inflicted, here we go. Susan, but the
Okay.
Lord inflicted,
But I'm
18.
gonna answer something earlier, or at
Oh,
least
go ahead, go
a
ahead.
response that, I mean, Leslie asked about what did he care whether it was a sister or a wife. He apparently didn't want to sleep with somebody else's wife for whatever lack of morality they had at the time. And the Pharaoh probably may have had more than one wife. He certainly.
Multiple. I'm sure he had a huge
Yeah,
harem.
But he may not have wanted to sleep with somebody else's wife. And I guess they could tell because whether there was blood on the sheets, and they do that in Orthodox things, or I shouldn't say Orthodox, in prior times, they'd hold out the sheet.
That wasn't, well, that was all over the world in lots of places. I don't know if
Yeah,
Orthodox
so-
Jews held it out, actually.
Yeah, but that was.
Okay, you're right, but they never got that far
No.
to find out because what happened?
The Lord
3:17.
inflicted serious diseases on Pharaoh and his household because of Abram's wife, Sarah. So Pharaoh summoned Abram. What have you done to me? He said. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why didn't you say she's my sister? So that I took her to be my wife. Now then, here's your wife, take her and go. And then Pharaoh gave orders about Abram to his men, and they sent him on his way with his wife and everything he had.
Okay, so,
why didn't he kill him?
yeah, why did he kill him? Well, I guess Abraham was royalty or very important, very wealthy. But he said, why didn't you tell me she was your wife? So I don't know who told him. Maybe Sarah finally said, well, actually. But the Midrash answers all these questions. And that's what I want to get to for us to talk about, because I love what they say.
And the answer that I would pose.
Okay, so
why did-
first, there's
why
a
did he kill him?
negative point of view, and then there's lots of, Susan, you'll be happy, lots of positive
Oh, good.
explanation. But this was from my Jewish learning.
Okay,
And this was like a feminist woman rabbi who said, you know, it was a cowardly thing that he did. So who hasn't read? Who wants? Leslie, why don't you read? It is just weird, really. Is this too small? Should I make it bigger?
No, it's good. Well, it's good for me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It is just weird, really. Passing off your wife as your sister just doesn't seem like the type of thing that the patriarchs of Judaism should be doing. Agreed. And not only does it happen once in the Torah, it happens 3 times. Twice, Abraham passes Sarah off as his sister. The motivation for this rather odd act is fear. As Abram says to Sarah, I know what a beautiful woman you are. If the Egyptians see you and think she is his wife, they will kill me and let you live. Please say that you are my sister, that it may go well with me because of you, and that I may remain alive thanks to you. Why are the patriarchs passing off their wives as their sisters? The explicit reason given in the text is fear for their own lives. But the deeper questions remain of why the Torah includes such an unflattering portrayal
Portrayal.
Thank you, of our patriarchs. A second and perhaps more challenging question is why the motif repeats itself 3 times. The location of the stories in the Torah makes the question of motivation even more problematic. Each wife a sister scene occurs directly after God has made some pledge of prosperity to the patriarch. Right after receiving God's pledge of safety, the patriarchs commit this rather scandalous act of weakness.
So every time, the 3 times, it's God says, you will be a great nation, blah, blah, blah. And then they go to Egypt or they go somewhere and pass their wives off as their sisters. So she doesn't even answer it. Yes.
Could it be that women are a commodity, so they are a bargaining chip? And so instead of saying, this is my wife, this is my sister, because it's a possible wife to trade for something, or people will be nicer to him because she's a woman and they want her. And it could be like, I have a cow, oh, if you give us this, then we have, as a possible trading chip to give them some leverage.
Yeah, but why would the Torah put this in and portray our patriarchs?
Because it was written by a man.
But he doesn't put him in a good light.
Yes, but at the time they were commodities, so no one was thinking it's a bad light.
Yeah, I agree with her. It speaks to the value of the woman at the time this was written.
At the time it was written, okay.
At the time it was written, there's something, but again, it goes back to a question I asked at the beginning, which is God's repeating the same mistake in a way.
God what?
God is repeating the same mistake in a way. I'll give you another chance.
Well, it's not God. It's this.
Interpreting it at 3 times.
It's the storyteller. However, one could say this story, and each time God interferes and says, no, it's not happening, because it never happens. Always God curses or does something terrible to the potential rapist, or whoever. And so it's like, are you getting the message yet? You can't do this, which is what Nina was saying, how it folds in the lesson slowly through mistakes. Yeah.
Another thing here, it was a time of tribes.
Tribes.
Tribes ruled the earth.
Right.
And the tribes usually, when there was a war between 2 tribes,
You make peace by.
the first thing that they did is to show that they were the winners, is take the women.
Right.
Okay. So now she is a bargaining chip, as we say, but Abraham literally gives them. In other words, he's saying, I am beneath you. I am at your mercy. Here is
My sister.
the woman that you get when you win those wars.
Or when you're more powerful.
And actually, they were allies. Otherwise, they wouldn't even gone there. Abraham and Sarah were very comfortable going there.
Right.
Because it was like home to her, and even to Abraham, who came from Ur Kasdim. Like I said, Israel and Egypt at the time were at a very close relationship. It was very, very open to them. If there was a famine, they would go down there and they knew they'd get it.
Okay.
So he shows that he is below him. Here he is. I'm giving you the woman, you don't have to fight me. Now he finds out that she's his sister. He doesn't kill him.
I thought it wasn't his sister. It was
No, his wife. Even his wife. Yeah, but also the Torah story, I think we'll agree, makes it clear that God is saying, you can't do this. You don't do this. You can't use her. You can't, she's not your venue to saving your life. And you're not giving your woman away. And it also says that, and this is something Penina said many times, even though Abraham heard the call and went to Egypt and built the altar, he still basically has pagan mentality. He still has ancient Near Eastern mentality. I mean, immigrants come here and this is a horrible, comparison, but like people from Africa and even Islamic countries come here and they still want to circumcise their daughters. They still want to do that, even though they're American, they live here and this and that. You still bring your mentality from your native land. So Abraham's native land, this is what you did, or you could do. You would use your wife as a bargaining chip. And the Torah is telling us, just like later they say, you can't do child sacrifice because he stops Isaac. Abraham seems to only learn by messing up and God saying, hold it, hold it. You know
The
what I
other
mean?
thing is, it's not like Abraham is 15 at this point in his life. He has long ingrained
Beliefs.
Yeah.
Maybe a woman did write it and was under a pseudonym, right? A nom de plume of a man's name, just to be able to pass some of these new laws.
Well, it was written, 1,000 years after it happened, and some of those laws probably were changing. But there is one theory that one of the writers of the Torah was female. There is a theory. Okay, so now here's a.
But if Abraham is so flawed because he keeps having to do things over and over again, why did God choose him to be the number one guy?
He's better than the rest, and he's willing to learn. He's willing to change. He's willing to, grow.
He also might be a character, not necessarily one literal person.
That's right.
He's probably an amalgamation of many different leaders.
You're right. Or the
I'm
beginning
sure
of Judaism.
in
Yeah.
actuality, yes, but
Okay. So traditional. First, do you want to read? Can you read? Do you want me to make this bigger? Doris, do you want to read this? Here. Make it bigger. I don't know. Are you hearing me, Doris? I guess she's. I don't know. Okay.
I'm answering you. You want me to read the traditional commentators?
Yes.
Abraham himself offers an interesting reason for his actions. He claims that he was in fact Sarah's brother, that they had the same father but not the same mother. While this claim may provide a hint for how Abraham came to this ruse, it does nothing to explain Isaac's calling Rebekah his sister.
His sister, when that happens later on, because they do the exact same thing, like father, like son. So basically, and then the modern commentator talks about, oh, this is something I told you about. You could do this. I'll just make this bigger. And why don't you read a little more, Doris?
Some modern commentators have made a similar type of claim, though. Nahum Sarna, amongst others, says that there is evidence from Hurrian society of which Abraham and Sarah might have participated, that there was a status known as wife sistership. Interesting. A Hurrian could adopt his wife as his sister and give her special status, and she would be treated as a blood relative of the husband's family. Abraham asked Sarah to tell the Egyptians that she was of this special class, and the Egyptians understood this legality and did not harm the couple.
Okay, so she was, okay, go ahead.
As knowledge, I'm sorry.
Just one more.
As knowledge of this custom faded, the story is now understood to be about the patriarchs lying, but its initial theme concerned recognition of this special status. This theory does not explain the wife-sister motif. It strains credulity to believe that these stories were initially, but not about deceit, but because the king in each story responded as if they are being deceived.
That's true, because he talks about that they all say, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? So it was deceit. Okay. And then here's Merle. Have you read? Do you want to read?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Making it bigger.
The part that's highlighted or bigger?
Here.
Okay, that's fine. I can see it.
Right
There
here.
are some commentators, however, who do not defend Abraham and Isaac's actions. Nachmanides says directly that the patriarch simply erred. Know that Abraham, our father, unintentionally committed a great sin by bringing his righteous wife to a stumbling block of sin on account of his fear for his life. He should have trusted that God would save him and his wife and all of his belongings, for God surely has the power to help and to save. His leaving the land, concerning which he had been commanded from the beginning, on account of the famine, was also a sin he committed, for in famine God would redeem him from death. It was because of this deed that the exile in the land of Egypt at the hand of Pharaoh was decreed for his children.
Oh, Nachmanides, this saying that because he did this, then they had to go down and be slaves. Okay, I want to get to like the all right, the Midrash.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. Okay.
Did you guys know that the letter from Rabbi Gershon ben Yehuda, that a Jew is allowed to marry, not allowed to marry
Right.
more than one wife, only arrived to Yemen in the 14th or 17th century.
14th century, but he only said it in the 10th century.
Whatever it is,
Didn't reach them. Yeah.
it was so secluded that it never reached them.
It's the same thing with the David Israel, the Ethiopian Jews, they also didn't get news and.
Right, okay. So I want to look at this thing now, because here's the beautiful Midrash about Sarah. Who was Sarah according to the Midrash? It says, first of all, that Sarah was a prophet, that all the matriarchs and patriarchs, were prophets. And that because later God says, whatever Sarah says. Okay. And they say this, she's one of the 7 women prophets, the others being Miriam, Deborah, Hannah, Abigail, Huldah, and Esther. Those were the 7 women prophets considered. Okay. This is now, how great was Sarah? Who has Linda, why don't you read? The rabbis applied to Sarah.
The rabbis applied to Sarah.
Proverbs 12:14, 12:4.
Wife is a crown for her husband. While she was not,
Ennobled,
ennobled through her husband, he was ennobled through her.
which is what Penina said. Yeah.
She's also called her husband's lady or mistress of the house. Everywhere it is the husband who has the final word, but here, whatever Sarah tells you, do as she says.
That's a quote. Go ahead.
The Midrash further tells that on their journeys, Abraham would first erect Sarah's tent before he tended to his own. Regarding Sarah's good attributes, it is said that Abraham and Sarah converted the Gentiles.
I told you this.
Abraham would convert the men and Sarah the women. These converts were the persons, literally souls, that they acquired.
Asu means made, really means made, in Haran.
In Haran, because if anyone converts a Gentile, it is as if he created him.
Okay, here's their beauty. Mary.
Sarah's beauty. The rabbis praise Sarah's beauty, including her amongst the foremost beautiful women in the world, together with Rahab, Abigail, and Esther. Even
Abishag the Shunammite was not half as beautiful. So Abishag the Shunammite was a young girl, I think she was 12 or 14, that when King David was old and cold, they got her, this young girl, to get in bed and keep him warm. But he didn't have sex with her, according to the rabbis. She just kept him warm, but she was beautiful. Okay. Okay, listen to this. Go ahead, Mary.
To portray Sarah's beauty, the rabbis say that in comparison to her, all other people are as monkeys to humans.
That's how beautiful she was. Sarah, so beautiful.
Of all women, only Eve was comelier.
Comelier, meaning prettier.
It is further related that throughout the 90 years that she did not give birth, Sarah was as beautiful as a bride under her bridal canopy.
So this is now our first matriarch, Sarah the princess. She's nobility, she's royalty, she's beautiful, she's righteous. So this is now creating an image of the ideal woman in the Torah. And I want to point out that beauty is a big deal in the Torah. They're always commenting on how beautiful or not beautiful a woman is, which is not, surprising since that's a commodity. But that the rabbis made such a big deal about her beauty, you see how valued it was to be a beautiful woman. Except it says here, okay, Lori, Sarah's beauty is not mentioned.
Did I miss it?
Sarah's beauty is not.
Sarah's beauty is not mentioned when she appears for the first time in the Torah. We first learn of it when Abraham and Sarah go down to Egypt because of the famine in Canaan. As he was about to enter Egypt, he said to his wife, Sarai, I know what a beautiful woman you are.
Okay.
The Midrash asks on this, Sarah was with Abraham all those years, and it is now only now that he says to her, I know what a beautiful woman you are. Was it only now that Abraham paid attention to his wife's beauty?
Whoops. Oh, yeah, you're gonna like this. Wait, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One is that people usually become debased by the rigors of the journey, while Sarah retained her beauty. According to this answer, Abraham was conscious of his wife's loveliness, but now he was amazed at the fact that she retained her beauty even after their wanderings from Canaan to Egypt.
Okay, now this is a racist answer that you're gonna like. Okay, I mean, you're gonna not like, but you're gonna find interesting. Hold on. Wait,
Am I
hold on, no, hold on. I'm just trying to, wait, what happened? Where am I? Ugh, why did I?
Workplace.
All right, wait, let me stop share.
Would
for
it
a
be the
minute.
managed, oh,
Okay, now I'm gonna share again. Okay, but no, what is, oh, here it is. Why is this happening? I'm so terrible.
No, you're not.
It's this I am, wait. Okay, how do I get rid of this? And go back to the text. Oh, wait, I'll go here.
how about managed document? Would that be a,
That one, the managed document.
Where's-
Lower right.
Well, there's an arrow in the upper left.
There's an arrow and there's also an X at the top.
Wait, where?
The arrow's on the left.
Oh, here.
The big arrow in the circle
Yeah,
at the
there you
top
go.
will take you back.
Okay, I was just trying to make it bold, but I'm afraid now. Because get rid of this. I don't know. Okay, never mind. Go ahead. I'm not going to try to make it bold because I'm afraid I'm going to do the same thing.
So,
It doesn't affect you, it affects them.
yeah,
Okay, so,
are we at another response?
yeah, another response.
Okay, another response explains that Abraham tells Sarah, we passed through Aram Naharaim and Aram Nahor, and we did not find a woman as beautiful as you. Now that we are entering a place of the ugly and the black, please say that you are my sister. Wow.
Okay, so that's what they're, saying, that's pretty terrible. This is what the rabbis were saying. So,
It could be the people that were, it could be people that were working in the fields that had darker skin.
that's true.
And that if you're
Yeah.
royalty or
Then you're
not,
pale,
if you're
yeah.
pampered and you're inside, like the same way that, Dustin Hoffman looked darker when he was younger and over the time he lightened up because, they lighten up. But we're still Middle Easterners in this. It's not like a bunch of white Jesuses, right?
Right.
So what did they, what is their definition of beautiful?
Exactly.
Was it someone that was very obese? Was that beautiful to them? There's in different cultures.
Right.
There's different,
Concepts of beauty. And also,
Whiteness, lightness in every culture, whether you're African American, the lighter, they're always considered, it's a better feature, unfortunately. And so it's the same thing with Middle Eastern. You look at Arab community, they love like lighter. It's always like, ooh, my daughter's fair.
it says here, it may be concluded from the Midrashic appellation for Egypt, a place of the ugly and the black, that Sarah was fair-skinned in contrast to the Egyptians. Sarah's beauty is depicted at length in a Jewish composition from the 1st century. I mean, ugly and black, if you look, honestly, anytime I see hieroglyphics or pictures of Egyptians, I think they're gorgeous. Gorgeous human beings, beautiful.
Rabbi Nanus, Joseph's wife was the Pharaoh's daughter and the mother of all Israel was an Egyptian.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Did you know that Israel had a beauty queen that was?
Yes, Ethiopian, unbelievably beautiful. Okay.
And she
Gorgeous.
gorgeous. Not become a beauty queen if you're stupid.
No, you have to be very bright.
Be very.
It's any, even Chinese culture, lighter is better. They would bleach their rice to make it white, even though it had no nutrients after that, just because they thought white light was better and closer to spiritual purity. So it doesn't matter if you're Chinese, if you're African American, if you're Hebrew, or if you're
Blondes, right? Blondes. But I wanted to say that we're not going to get to it because we want to sing happy birthday to Penina, that there's a midrash now that Abraham actually put her in a trunk and tried to hide her. A trunk. This is the next part. He said that, you're so beautiful. If you go further down here, he says, Abraham tried to conceal her from the Egyptians by putting her in a chest that he locked. When he came to the tax collectors, they ordered him pay the tax, and he says, I will pay. They said, do you have vessels in the chest? He said, I will pay tax on the vessels. Are you bringing silk garments? He said, I will pay tax on the silk. Are you bringing pearls? I will pay tax on the pearls. Just don't open it. We cannot let you go your way until you open the chest. And when it opened it, her light brightened all of Egypt with her beauty and her holy light. And then they said, we have to take her to the Pharaoh. And they said, I'll get 200 for it. I'll get 500 for this jewel. And so that's what but what I love is how holy and beautiful they made Sarah in the Midrash, and how you look at the text and you see one behavior, and then the rabbis say, well, no, Abraham was a holier. And even if you don't believe the Midrash, I love that they try to put good intentions, and that we try to like behave in a way of good intentions, and that we're trying to do the right thing, and that even Abraham was trying to do the right thing. And this is the beginning of kind of holiness. You know, I mean, the Midrash tries to find holiness in these ancient stories. We don't just take them at face value, which is very different. Yes.
We have to remember that Abraham came to Israel. The land was dry, barren.
Right.
What did he do the first thing? Dug wells.
Right. That's right. When he comes back.
Water.
Right.
So a lot of times we are looking at things in our 20th century eyes.
Right.
24th century, whatever you want to call it now, eyes. You have to understand that it's not what we feel or see today that we can translate and explain what happened then.
Exactly.
I think that Israel actually happened there. There was nothing there. You read it. The first thing he did, he dug wells.
Right, because there was water.
So the shepherds could
Water. Okay,
and what
Talia.
happened when the Philistine came? The Philistine came, they closed the waterway right away. And then what happened? Isaac, when Abraham died, what did Isaac do? Went back and reopened those wells. So you have to understand, read the little things that you think are not important. We have so much water now here. Who can think that the land was barren because nobody wants it because there's no water? How are you going to survive? So
Are we singing happy birthday?
Yeah.
We are going to sing happy birthday.
the candles aren't lit yet. But you cannot see what happened then in today's how do you call it, measurement? It's not the same. The scales are not the same. If you're going to put the whole bunch of stuff on one end and what's happening today, it's not.
You're right.
Even.
And I hope that when we're all 85, we are as smart and as beautiful as Penina.
Thank you.
That's right.
I want to tell you that it's a miracle that I'm here with you today, because something happened to me 2 months ago that you would not believe.
But we'll get to that another time.
No,
Okay.
I think
Happy
Birthday
Day
to
to
birthday.
you.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday
you.
to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
Dear
dear
Penina.
Penina. Happy
Happy
birthday
to you and
and
many
many
more.
more.
Okay, blow, make a wish.
Aw,
Mazel tov.
Oh, she got them all.
all
Since the
right.
people on Zoom can't have any cake, I'm gonna let you go. We're gonna eat.
That's okay. I probably can't have it anyway.
Oh, okay. Bye,
Aw,
everyone.
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everybody. Nice to
you.
see y'all. I
Good to
love
see
you.
you.
Happy
You're all
Thanksgiving.
beautiful. Remember, look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful. You're gorgeous.